Okay, Brian, this is a personal tour of my gallery. VIP exclusive. I'll close the door even. No one will know. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you walk in. Dun, dun, dun. It's mostly photos, a few lino cut prints, and then a sculpture thing. So this is a sculpture based on a sundial that Pope Saint John Paul II could see from his apartment window. And so in Polish, at the top it says Czas czeka, wieczność czeka, which means time flies, eternity awaits. And so when you look through it, it all completes itself. And that's supposed to be representative of how heaven on earth we experience a lot of moments that are seem timeless and help us to experience heaven on earth. And heaven is our true home, and that's kind of like the basis of my whole show, is that we experience heaven here on earth in ways but we're not supposed to like stay here. We're not supposed to get stuck here. This is a photo from Peru when I went, and this was a waterfall that when I was standing like in the basin, kind of all the water, looking up at it, that was the closest I've ever felt to heaven. And by a lot of the photos and pieces, I have a description and a poem that I either wrote or someone very dear to me wrote, and it goes with the theme of that specific image. This image is kind of funky. It's based on Mary, the Mother of God, her veil. So for a lot of years, like throughout high school and in college, I experienced a lot of spiritual attack when I was trying to fall asleep in my bed. And so you can see barely, there's not a lot of reflection, but there's like photos in the background of the image. And so she's like in my room, sitting on my bed. But I would like pray that these like fears would go away, because I would just be filled with fear when I'm trying to fall asleep, and like prayers just like weren't really working. But when I finally prayed that Mary's mantle would wrap me and like surround me, that's when I finally felt safe. And it just like became such a prayer for me that her mantle was like in armor and beautiful and protective. These are all photos from Peru. So that whole experience just was like really eye-opening to beauty and to experiencing heaven on earth with like the waterfall and with all these things. I'll send you pictures of each of these, but these are some highlights. This was my first meal in Peru, and it's kind of gross, but just gross looking. It tasted fine. But I just thought it was like really beautiful. Even like this dead fish was like really striking to me. And I just really loved it. Same with this dog, this like flea-ridden dog. Thought he was super cute. All the Peruvian dogs, their ears would just stick out like that. And I thought that was so funny and just adorable. This is a picture of some ferns and some moss that I saw at that waterfall in Peru. And it was seriously that green. It was seriously that green. It was just so vibrant. And I just thought it was so beautiful. And I think moss is the most humble of all plants. It like is so, it's really quiet, but it's really strong, and it's everywhere, and you never see it. And it's like after a rain is when it's most vibrant. And I just love it. This is a little girl who I took her picture in Peru, and I find her just so striking and gorgeous. This was a family I took a picture of, and when I asked them if I could take her picture, she just was like totally shocked. I think this was her first photo, ever taken. She lived in like a really remote village. And when I asked her, she was just really taken aback, and she agreed to have her photo taken. And when I brought the camera up to my eye, she and her daughter like looked away from the camera, not like out of embarrassment or anything. It was more like they just didn't have it ingrained in them that was the etiquette of like looking at a camera. And because that was her first photo, like it just was so cool to me that this was her natural position. Like usually we're, we know to like, or we're told that we have to like look at the camera and smile and like be poised and everything, but that just like wasn't a part of her life, because she just doesn't have her photo taken ever. If you're interested in any of these other ones, I would love to like tell you more about them. This is a nun who's taking our picture from the back of a truck, so we were kind of elevated above her, and I thought it was so cute. This dude, his name is Andy, he's a missionary with Family Missions Company, and he was just a really amazing man and had a great story. There was a lot of protests happening while we were there. If you look close, this dude was looking back at one of the white girls in our group. They were all looking at like the white people, except for this one dude who was looking at me. That was cool. This one was also in Peru. One of the medical clinics that we were in started flooding with water, and it was kind of overwhelming at first, but then I started seeing like the reflections in the water on the ground and thought it was so cool and beautiful. And that's Andy actually right there helping clean up. This is my mom. I love this photo of her. It's one of my favorite photos I've ever taken, ever. She doesn't know she's in my show. She's a very big part of it. This was taken in our house before we sold it. And usually like something on somebody's eyes is like a bad thing in photography. Like you want the eyes to be really sharp. But I think it was like, I think it adds so much to it. That there's like a glimmer in her eyes of like kindness and how she like looks at people and takes care of people. I think you can like really feel that in this photo because of that in her glasses and in like the way her face looks and like how she's kind of smiling and like looking at me. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm gonna cry. There's a beautiful poem Josie wrote about motherhood. I'll send you all this. This is one of my 2 lino cut prints. It's about 18 inches by 18 inches to scale. To scale. To scale. And this took so much work, but I love it. It's a pelican. And it's a Christian symbol of Christ because there's this myth that when baby pelicans are starving, the mother pelican will peck its own breast and feed the babies their own flesh, or its own flesh and blood to feed them. And so that's symbolic of Christ's self-sacrifice for us. And then this other one is a peacock, which is a Roman symbol of immortality that Christian church adopted because it was, what was it? Oh, the Romans thought that the flesh of the peacock did not decay, and so that's why it became a symbol of immortality and occurs within Christian imagery. Over here, it's kind of like a synopsis little area of everything. This is a picture of one of our aspen trees in our house before we sold it, and aspen trees have just been like so beautiful to me forever. And because they were like surrounding our house, and my mom taught me to look at them and like see that the leaves twinkled in the